turned on, and we'll call this meeting to order. I'm Betty Martine, the council president. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Dr. Ramona Becker.
Here.
Guy McDonald.
Here.
Betty Martine.
Here.
Peggy O'Donnell.
Here.
Diane Wynn.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to take this time to welcome Attorney Terry Bell with us tonight, sitting in. And now if you pause for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Would you please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any determination on the agenda items, additions?
There are no additions.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second, first and second, and all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I forgot I get to vote. Move on to discussion and approval of appropriations ordinance. I'd ask Mr. Lasher if there's anything on there that he would like to express.
Thank you, Ms. Martine. There are a few items that were, the total this month is $790, which is high comparable to a lot of weeks that we have. One thing I wanted to note was we had to pay Sedgwick County $97,000 for property taxes on the lots and empty ground that we own. Actually, I think it's in the industrial park. And then we had $30,000 that we paid Wichita for water that was purchased in the last month. And then we have about $192,000 in capital projects, which are related to the different developments going on, like Chapel Landing, Deer Run, courtyards at Elk Creek, etc. And then we also had $179,000 in special assessments for the lots that we own in Central Park and the industrial park.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We have several proclamations tonight. We're going to do something different. I'm going to ask each one of the council members to read these proclamations, and then I'll fill in the balance of it as council president. Mr. McDonald, would you read the first one, please?
This is a proclamation for Building Safety Month in May of 2017. To the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas our city's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, and sustainability in the built environment that affects our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, develop and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, play, and whereas the international codes the most widely adapted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. citizens, most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council and International Code Council Foundation to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas code officials, partners in community safety and economic development, the theme for Building Safety Month 2017 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safety, green and sustainable buildings, pool, spa, and hot tub safety, and new technologies in the construction industry. Building Safety Month 2017 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the place where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments and federal agencies in protecting lives and property.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Therefore, I, Betty Martine, Council President, do hereby proclaim May as Building Safety Month in the city of Bel Aire and urge all citizens to join in this community's commitment to building safety. The next one, public service.
That's me.
Diane?
Thank you. This is a proclamation regarding Public Service Appreciation Week, which is May the 7th through the 13th of 2017. To the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants in the federal, state, county, and city levels, these unsung heroes do work that keeps our nation working. Public employees take not only jobs, but oaths. Whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, Border Patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world. Whereas public servants include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors and astronauts, nurses and safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians and social workers, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants in every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials.
Thank you, Mrs. Nguyen. Therefore, I, Betty Martine, Council President of the City of Bel Aire, do hereby announce and proclaim all citizens and set seal hereto that May 7th through the 13th of 2017 is Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of the government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and city. Dr. Becker?
Yes. This is a proclamation for Older Americans Month, which is May of 2017. To the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas Bel Aire is a community that includes citizens age 60 and older, and whereas the older adults in Bel Aire are among our most treasured resources, united by historical experiences, strengthened by diversity, and interpreting events through varied perspectives and backgrounds to bring wisdom and insight to our community. And whereas increasing numbers of adults are reaching retirement age and remaining strong and active for longer than ever before. And whereas the older adults in Bel Aire deserve recognition for the contributions they have made and will continue to make to the culture, economy, and character of our community and our nation. And whereas our community can provide that recognition and respect by improving the quality of life for older Americans by increasing their opportunities to remain active and engaged in community life, providing individualized services and support systems to maintain the dignity, independence, and self-determination of older Americans as they age, combating ageist attitudes by honoring their past, present, and future contributions.
Thank you, Dr. Becker. Therefore, I, Betty Martine, Council President, do here proclaim May 2017 to the Older Americans Month. I urge every citizen to take time this month to honor our older adults and the professionals, family members, and volunteers who care for many of them. Our recognition and involvement of the older Americans can enrich our entire community's quality of life. The next one, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Okay, this is proclamation for National Police Week, May 14th through the 20th, 2017. To the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 14th through the 20th, 2017 as Peace Officers Week, and whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including 14 sworn members of the Bel Aire Police Department, and whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the City of Bel Aire play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the residents of the city, and whereas some 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 16,000 injuries, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1792, more than 18,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the wall of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, which was dedicated in 1991 in Washington, D.C., and whereas officers make the ultimate sacrifice every day while on patrol.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Donnell. Now, therefore, I, Betty Martine, Council President of the City of Bel Aire, do hereby proclaim May 14th through the 20th, 2017 as Police Week in the City of Bel Aire and encourage our citizens to remember our police officers. Further, I publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and the communities across the nation. Thank you all for sharing those, and is there any other questions or statements you'd like to make? We'll move along then. Do we have any citizens in the audience that would like to speak? We're sure glad to have somebody sitting out there. Thank you for coming. Hope you come back. Reports, council members, I'll start with Mrs. Wynn.
I was privileged as a member of the executive directors of REAP to attend a luncheon on April the 20th in Wellington. We met at the Sumner County Economic Development offices, And I have to tell you that when I walked in, I thought, wow, this place is big as a barn, you know, and Wellington's not a real big town. So there were some others who questioned the same thing, and it's part of their renewal effort. It had been a car dealership, and, you know, they had just gutted it, and it was a beautiful office and had a couple of different rooms available for different sizes of meetings, and nice offices for the people who are working there and that type of thing. So, but you sure would never have thought it was a car dealership in its previous life. So the program that day was presented by Dr. Riddle, who is president of Cali College. And the topic that what it was regarding centered on a successful sales tax campaign that will be bringing an off-site Cali campus to Wellington itself, and how that will impact the various businesses of that town and the surrounding area, and the needs that it will meet as far as some educational sparse spots to the south and west of there, and the fact that some of their businesses that have been attracted to Wellington or have been there for a long time are struggling for capable workforce. Either it's getting old or that type of thing. And so interested in that, and he brought some slides and things that I'll share with you. I did not bring those tonight, but I will share those with you. It was very interesting, and I know not too long ago we had a sales tax campaign that actually failed. So they have some good ideas, and it was a very interesting program. Well worth the 20 miles down there. And that's all.
Thank you. Mrs. O'Donnell?
Well, thank you, Mrs. Martine. I am sorry I missed the last meeting. I was in Washington, D.C. with several students from the school, and we actually went through some of these memorials, so it was neat to get to read this one. I also want to wish everyone in public service a great week. I've already started getting some little things for teacher appreciation, so that's always really, really fun. I called my daughter-in-law to see if we wanted to go get the buy one, get one Chipotle today, and she said it's out the door. I did want to also say this week is also Thursday, National Day of Prayer, that a lot of things are up around the community. And then I did want to say I appreciate Mrs. Martine was also there last Thursday. We had our CCUA, the Chisholm Creek Utility Authority, our monthly meeting, and it was pretty lengthy. We had the yearly annual, Betty, help me, was it the audit, the report? Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry, from last year. But also, we were able to get paperwork for, we are actually available now to start looking at some rebonding on those debts that the cities owe together on our water and sewer. And at the next meeting, I hope to be able to get the final numbers when they come in. But it's going to save the cities well over $1 million on interest over the next few years with that refinancing. So I really appreciate being able to share that with you, and it's exciting to our citizens. And so I think that's all my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald?
Last Saturday, the 29th of April, was Bel Aire's Arbor Day, and we celebrated that for the first time indoors, because Saturday, if your memory is not too short, was rainy, cold, blustery, and not very nice to be outside. And we had we met in the senior center, and the senior center was relatively full. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that. The mayor and the full city council were present, and the tree board appreciates their support, and as well as several other members of the community who came just to see what the program was about. And Gary Northwall is the president of the tree board, and he gave a PowerPoint presentation that I thought went extraordinarily well. And the point of the subject of the PowerPoint was, there were two subjects. One was the survivor tree, which is something that the tree board has adopted over the past several years. There is a tree in Oklahoma City that is called the survivor tree that survived the blast at the Murrow building many, many years ago. And from that tree, seedlings are grown by local nurseries. And if you attend the service down there on April 19th of each year, after the ceremony, seedlings of the survivor tree are handed out. And some years there are few, and some years there are many, but those who are in attendance get a tree for free. And several years ago, the tree board was down there just to attend the service, had no idea about the survivor tree, and all this was made clear on the presentation that Mr. Northwall made. The local tree board, the Bel Aire tree board, got some trees, and we grew them. I think we had a total of 5 trees, and the first one was here outside of City Hall. We planted it, and then we planted one at Botanica, and then we discussed the matter, and since it was a survivor tree, we honed in on the idea that perhaps we should give these trees to people or communities or groups that have suffered a catastrophe and have survived it. And so we actually started to do that, and we have trees. We have a tree at the WSU that is in honor of those people who lost their lives in the plane crash that involved the local football team. We have one of the members of that team, his name was Randy Jackson, and he survived that crash, and he went on later to become a professional football player. And we have dedicated the tree to him. People in Greensburg, Kansas have a tree. Someone on Long Island who survived was on the 84th floor of the second tower on 9/11. He now has a tree. And Reading, Kansas, and several other places, Joplin, Missouri. I don't have the total number, but it's 8 or 9 trees that this community has donated, along with a plaque that is donated that describes the reason why these trees are being donated to either individuals or groups or cities or counties or whatever. And so that was all explained by Mr. Northwall. And that was a good thing, because that process has now become, I'd say, almost a protocol for the tree board to place these trees at various places. And as you can imagine, it's not too difficult to find a place that has suffered some catastrophe of some sort. And we asked them if they would like a tree, and most people are receptive to that idea. The second thing was on Arbor Day, we are obligated. We are members of Tree City USA. The city of Bel Aire is, I think, for 21 years now. And one of the requirements is not only a tree board, but also that we must plant a tree on Arbor Day. And we have done that, and it's planted north and west of the swimming pool here in Central Park. And there's a plaque on it, and it describes the tree. On some occasions, we pick out a member of the community, the local community, and we dedicated that particular Arbor Day tree, not a survivor tree, but an Arbor Day tree, to that particular individual or maybe a couple or a group. And we've done that in the past, but this year we didn't have anyone to select, so it's just a tree that was dedicated according to the rules of Tree City USA. And in addition to that, this is my last point, the tree board consists of 7 members, and we have recently, for the past year, been asking if people would like to volunteer their services to the tree board. It's a nice group. It's a fun group. The group has a good time together, and they do good things for the community. Well, we have 2 people who are interested in becoming members, and that would bring the total up to 7 people if they do indeed join. Their names will have to be submitted to the council at some future date and passed by the council, but I'm very optimistic that that will occur, and Mrs. President, concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Dr. Bemper?
Well, I want to follow up on the Arbor Day celebration. I attended also, like other members, and it was just wonderful. And I think it was really nice to have it inside for a change, because we got to see that wonderful PowerPoint presentation, and I really learned some things with that I didn't know. And I think it would be nice for us to try and expand that in the future and get more people to come and enjoy what the tree board is doing. It's just an outstanding group of people working hard. They've been here probably longer than any other committee in the city.
I think so.
And done such wonderful things. I think I mentioned once before all the trees that are planted along Central Park, Parkway out here, along that street were planted by the tree board, and they're just doing beautifully. They're just a great service to our community. So I thoroughly enjoyed that, and that was the blessing that came from all the rain and nasty weather that day, that we got to have that nice meeting inside with the tree board. Another event I attended, our legislative committee has been canceled the last couple of times for REAP, but I did take Fetch Bistro up on their invitation to the council and to the staff here at City Hall to attend their grand opening. I think it was on Thursday of last week, and that was really fun. I took my 2 standard poodles, and the owners have 2 standard poodles, and then there was another guest there that had 2 standard poodles, and our police chief was there with his beautiful poodle. And so we had quite a gathering there of our very favorite dogs. And that was really fun. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of that nice new business in our area. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Becker. The only reports that I have is I did attend the CCUA meeting Thursday with Peggy. I sat in for the mayor as he was out of town for his business. He's in San Diego, no less. I attended the Arbor Day. I really enjoyed being inside, even though it was raining, and we've always held these outside before. But the inside, you just felt that closeness from people from Bel Aire that came. Mm-hmm. And you could visit with them and move from table to table. Their donuts and cookies and coffee and juice was fantastic. Also, Friday, April the 28th, I was reading the Wichita Eagle, and I would like to congratulate the Northeast Magnet. They made the magazine's list of top public schools in Kansas.
Yay.
The Northeast Magnet is in Bel Aire. Once again made the list of the top 10 public high schools in Kansas. The Magnet High School in Bel Aire ranked 7th in the state and was designated a silver medal school in a list domination by Kansas City area high schools. Northeast Magnet has an outstanding staff, and they are dedicated. They put in hours that go beyond the contract. They have a lot of different resources in place to help kids get help when they need it. The school also offers Saturday tutoring. I don't remember when I went to school we didn't have no Saturday tutoring. You stayed after school to do it. But anyway, they do offer that. Sessions that normally draw 70 to 80 students. Northeast Magnet consisting ranking among the top schools in the state. Last year, they were number 7 last year as well. The school has a waiting list of about 200 students. It was quite a lengthy listing, so I cut it out and I thought, wow, they're in Bel Aire. And that's about all I have. We'll move on to the city manager.
Thank you, Ms. Martine. I've got several community items or issues that are taking place I wanted to remind our citizens at home about. This Saturday from 9 to noon here at City Hall is the shredding and e-recycling event. And it looks like it's going to be nice weather. It looks like the sun's going to be out on Saturday. It's a great event. There's no charge. It's something that Waste Management does for the city as far as the shredding, and it's a shredder that will handle any type of personal information, taxes, things like that. It shreds it up so much that, and then it goes in a big hopper. So if you've got, with April taxes just finishing up, and if you got a few files you need to get rid of, that's a great place. Old checks, stubs, that kind of stuff. They do a terrific job. And then if you've got old computers or laptops or cell phones or any kind of electronics that you want TVs that you want to get rid of, bring them and they'll take them. I think for the old with the cathode ray TVs, there might be a charge, but flat screens there isn't. And it's our local Lions Club is the one that kind of works with the e-recycling and waste connections on that. And so they've got it's a well-oiled machine now with people coming in and out and things like that. So that's this weekend here at City Hall from 9 to noon. Last Saturday, in addition to Arbor Day, the police department hosted Take Back Drugs, prescription drugs, and they collected 8 boxes of unwanted drugs. We don't know the weight yet. They haven't been weighed. But they said it was very successful even with the rain. People were coming and bringing old prescriptions, and that's a great thing. We do that twice a year, and we really encourage citizens to do that. Throwing old prescriptions in the trash or down the toilet is really bad for our environment. We've actually seen issues now as we are treating wastewater that there's these drugs that are getting into the water that aren't being filtered out because of our current filtration systems, and they're ending up in rivers and things like that. So we really encourage people to bring them, and there's no charge again to do this. We'll be having another one in the fall, so just hold on to those, and we'll get the information out about when the fall one will be. On next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but May 13th from 9 to 1, the brush site will be open. So it opened last month, and we're back opening again every month now, second Saturday. So if anybody's doing any tree trimming or anything like that, they can take it out there from 9 to 1. It's actually at about the half-mile line between Rock and Webb on 53rd Street. So you can even go to our website if you're interested in being reminded. You can sign up, and they'll send you a text to remind you that the brush site's open. So if you'd like to do that service, just go to our website. We can also remind people of when utility bills are due. So if anybody has a problem remembering that or wants a reminder, again, go to our website. You can sign up, and they'll send you a text or notice that when our utility bills are due. And then the last thing, I mentioned this at the last month, but next couple meetings I'm still going to be mentioning it because I want people to remember on May 18th, which is a Thursday, here at City Hall, we're going to have a community open house, and we're wanting citizens to come in and look at the many things that the council has decided to look at for our future growth, including a master plan for biking, walking paths, for a new park, for the growth of the city. And so everybody probably remembers getting a survey, and we're just going to basically take all that information, and there'll be different stops that you can come and learn about, give your input on, and then once that's all been incorporated into the planning, it will come to the council for their input and final approval. And so again, that's coming up May 18th. I think it's like 5 to 7, and so again, we'll be getting out information on social media and such to remind everybody. That's all I had, Ms. Martine.
Thank you.
Mrs. President?
Sure.
I have a comment to make. I was unsure as to what happened to the drugs that were given to the police department, and was curious, and I learned that they are incinerated, that I think the members from a state organization comes in and picks them up. The feds might be involved too, but for everybody else, they burn them, so there is no possibility of any drug getting into the environment as a result of dumping. That's all, Mrs. President.
Thank you. Is there any committees, boards, or commissions here this evening that would like to speak? If not, we'll move on to ordinance, resolutions, and final actions. Considering the approval of a change order with Mies Construction to reduce the water/sewer contract by $1,500. The reduction is due to deleting one water service and one sewer service. Mr. Lasher, would you like to expand on that?
Sure. Whenever we do a development, one of the first things that our engineers do is they design the plat and lay out the number of lots where the streets and infrastructure are all going. And then that's approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. And then they go out and they start in designing the water and sewer mains and those types of things. And the developer actually starts putting in model homes, and they ended up deciding that they needed to eliminate one lot in that particular phase. And in doing so, they didn't have to pay for, or the contractor didn't have to install the water and sewer service for that one lot. So because that wasn't done, then they actually subtract that from the contract. So that doesn't happen very often, but it's nice when it does. It's actually a reduction in the cost for that water and sewer.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam President,
Ms. Nguyen?
I would like to make a motion to approve the change order with Mies Construction and authorize the manager to sign.
Second.
Been a motion to approve and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next thing is considering of approving a change order with Nowalk Construction, increasing the contract by $8,491. The change includes deduction of certain supplies not needed, but an increase for the fire hydrant being added and additional drilling work required at Webb Road due to the depth of other utilities in the area. Mr. Lasher, would you like to speak on that?
Yes, so this is part of the project where we're extending the current water main that ended at Rock Spring all the way over to the Sunflower Commerce Park. And because we did not have a main along there, we had that design, council approved the project. And so as they got over, two things happened. One is we had to stop because we were in the process of acquiring some right-of-way, and so they had to put in a fire hydrant to stop so that they could continue work in Rock Springs Second, installing there, and they could test the lines and stuff. And then as they moved from that spot on over to connecting to the water main in the Sunflower Commerce Park, they had to go under Webb, which is a 4-lane road, and there was some additional costs because they had to go, when they got over, they had some other utilities that were in the way that they didn't know about until they did the one call to find out where they were at. So they wanted to go deep so that they wouldn't interfere with those. So there was some added cost in that in that drilling, but there was also some savings in that project as well. They didn't need as much line as they thought they did, but when it all panned out, they took some off for some things that we didn't need, and then they added some on, and of course then that added to the contract, and that's typically what we see on change orders, is they add to the contract.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the change order with Nowak Construction and authorize the manager to sign.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded for the change order with Millwalk Construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next thing on the item is the council workshop, May the 9th at 6:30 PM. Does anybody have a problem?
Sounds good.
I won't be there. I'll be in Kansas City.
Okay. Anybody else? I have about 4 things that we need to probably discuss and get caught up on. Mrs. O'Donnell, do you have anything to put on the agenda?
I do not.
Mrs. Nguyen?
No.
Dr. Becker?
Not at this time.
Okay,
No.
okay, if you come up with something, please call Mr. Lasher and have him add it. 6:30 is okay with you? We do need an executive session for the purpose of attorney-client privileges and invite in the city manager and Attorney Terry Bell for a period of 30 minutes for non-elected personnel.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion, first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're in executive session for 30 minutes. Council has returned from executive session. Is there anything else to come before us tonight? Lost my paper.
Ms. Martine, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Yeah.
I thank you for